Hi everyone. I'm in Tirana. I just want to show you a bit. It's starting to rain a little bit. So this is one of the main plazas and I'm going to talk to you about yesterday. So yeah, this is the opera and this is where I'm going to meet my tour in about half an hour. Then we have this clock tower and a mosque. So I'm hoping we're going to talk about that during the tour. Then you have these buildings that are getting ready for Christmas. With this guy on a horse, maybe also talk about that during the tour. And then there's a church over there, and a new building, and then a bank, and then here, I think this is the Museum of History. You can see like very patriotic mosaic, I want to say, or maybe painting. But yeah, and this is like a main square, I'm guessing. Earlier on, there was a guy with a megaphone going a bit nuts. Yeah, so yesterday, sorry, I'm just gonna find shelter. Yesterday was quite a dull day at the beginning, and then it got more interesting. Hold on. Yeah, so it started in Shkodër, and yeah, there was, sorry. It was just using the main road to get to Tirana, so really not interesting. Just yeah, using the main road and nothing much to it. But then for lunch, I went to a bakery and had some sort of savory pastries. And they looked really nice. Here, I'm gonna talk over like this. But then the way she did it, she put the pastry and then she put a towel, and then the pastry and a towel and the pastry, napkin. Sorry, not towel, napkin. But by the time I got somewhere where I could sit down and eat, the napkins were just full of grease, of oil. So yeah, the pastries themselves were quite dry, but it was alright. But yeah, the afternoon got a bit more interesting in that my application told me to get off the main road and take these little side streets. So it was hard in that there was those gravel roads. So gravel roads with lots of holes, with like water in the holes and a lot of mud. So yeah, my shoes are still quite muddy. I don't know if you can see them. It was still quite muddy from yesterday. And there we go. Yeah, and it was I always heard about these like Albanian bunkers that apparently during communist times it was not a right, but like everybody had to have a bunker, just in case, I guess. And I finally saw one and it was kind of fun. So from the front it just looked like a bunker, but then it would go, you would go around and it would be used for pigs, so you could see like pigs just roaming around. So yeah, so I guess it's a recycling method. And yeah, it's kind of fun because I get, like we were talking about it earlier, but Albania does not get a lot of tourists. And so like so many people just like say hi, it's like hello. And so, you know, just on the road and I was like, oh hi, I just like pass them and say hi. What else? Alright, and then I joined the road again and it was quite dull. But after that, I got into Tirana, and then the story there is that I just thought Tirana, so the traffic in Tirana is terrible. It's worse than in Italy, where like people just park wherever they want. It's like that. But the roads are worse, so it just makes it a whole lot more difficult. Like sometimes there's like sewer grates just without the grate. And so one time, I guess I was not paying attention much, and then I almost fell into one. So I need to pay more attention to that. But yeah, so I was in Tirana, so I was like, oh, it should be better, like more solid roads and things. And I passed by, and my application told me to take this bridge. But the bridge, I took a picture of it. It felt like it was made from scrap pieces of wood. and it was large enough for just for one person. And so I was like, well, hopefully it's really solid because I'm there with my bike. So I was still on my bike, but walking, sort of like wobbling on my bike. And the bridge wobbled so much in the middle, and it just kept going. I just tried not to think about it. I just kept going and going and going. And yeah, and by the time I got there, there was a guy waiting to go the other way. So that was quite interesting. And then yeah, Tirana had like, so it had things like that, but then it had like really good bike paths. All of a sudden it just switched and it was a really good bike path. So I guess it was just maybe when you get closer to the center of town. And right, so then the trouble was finding my hostel. So it's the English hostel, and the address was 60/1 on this road. I forget what the road is called. It's like a national hero. The name of a national hero. And so my app told me, when I put it in the app, it didn't understand it and refused to do it. So then I just put in the street name. And so I went to that street, and then I said, oh, I'll figure it out later. But I couldn't find any numbers. Like, the houses just didn't have numbers on them, which didn't really help. So then I looked on a map I can use offline, and I found it. It was just on the opposite side of the street, like opposite end of the street. And it was a really, really long street. So I was like, well, it's there. So I go for it. I go all the way there. Of course, it's on a hill, on top of a hill. So I make it to the top of the hill, tired, and I look around. I just can't find it. I look everywhere, can't find it. There's no way. Like, and of course, there's no numbers or no signs. I was like, the hostel would have a sign on it, like to note that people know that it's there. So I'm getting desperate. It's starting to get dark. It's starting to get windy. So then I look at the description of the hostel. Sometimes they have directions, and they did. And so I look for any sort of clues and would put it on my offline map. And finally I found one, and it's where I started. So it's, again, the other end, the first end of the street. So I get there, and I can see some numbers sometimes, but it's not consistent. So sometimes like 200 something, 100 something, 200 something. So it's, yeah, it wasn't great. But finally I found it, and turns out the /1, I think, means that it's the first off-road. So like you have the main street, and then there's like little impasses or cul-de-sacs that come off it, and this was the first one of that street. So that's why /1, I'm guessing, because every house on that street has /1. So yeah, I found it, and then the hostel's really nice. Nothing much to say about it. That was that. Oh right, and then they said I should go to Special Souvlaki for dinner. He's like, it's really good, really cheap. You'll like it. So I did, and I ordered a chicken gyro. Ate it. It was delicious, but not enough because it was quite small. Then again, it was like €1. So it was, well, the equivalent of €1. So I was still hungry, so then I see there's a big one. So like, ooh, that sounds interesting, and it was like double the price. So like, okay, I'll take a big one. And the guy at the counter's like, it's big. I'm like, all right, yeah, I can do it. So he gives it to me, and it is massive, but it's really good, and I finish it. Yeah, and then back to the hostel, went to bed. Nothing special about that night. But in the morning, the hostel keeper, the person who owns the hostel owner, was making breakfast, because breakfast is included, and we started talking. And so he's from San Francisco, and he was visiting the Balkan area, and then he was supposed to stay here, I think, a week or two, and then he ended up, he's like, and now I'm here, and a year and a half later, owning my hostel. He's like, no, I love it, the people are nice, the food is good, everything's cheap, like, and yeah, but he's like, and it's not touristy, so he's like, what I'm doing right now is I keep my prices really, really low, so it's €6 for a night, which is really cheap. And he's like, I'm just hoping that after a while I'll get really good reviews, and then I can sort of make it a bit more expensive. But yeah, that's his plan for right now, and like his hostel is really nice, and yeah, the free breakfast is quite a treat. But yeah, that's about it for this video. I'm meeting a free walking tour back here in a couple of maybe 20 minutes. So I just thought I'd make the video in the meantime. And yeah, I have some fruit left over from yesterday, so I'm gonna have some of those. And yeah, today is all about exploring Tirana. Every time people say Tirana, I feel like they say in Toronto, but in the Toronto accent, Tirana. So yeah, he did it a couple of times, like, oh, welcome to Tirana. Wait, what? Oh, right, Tirana. So yeah, that's quite fun. But yeah, I'm gonna explore Tirana and yeah, see what there is to see. That's about it. And then continue the journey the day after. All right, bye.